First Samuel in Hebrew, chapters 29 through 31. And the Philistines gathered all their armies to Aphek, and Israel encamped in Endor, which is in Jezreel. And the lords of the Philistines went on by hundreds and thousands, and David and his men went on in the rear with Anchus. And the lords of the Philistines said, Who are these that pass by? And Anchus said to the captains of the Philistines, Is not this David, the servant of Saul, the king of Israel? He has been with us some time, even this second year, and I have not found any fault in him from the day that he attached himself to me, even until this day. And the captains of the Philistines were displeased at him, and they said to him, Send the man away, and let him return to his place, where thou didst set him. And let him not come with us to the war, and let him not be a traitor in the camp. And wherewith will he be reconciled to his master? Will it not be in the heads of those men? Is not this David whom they celebrated in dances, saying, Saul has smitten his thousands, and David his 10,000s? And Anchus called David, and said to him, As the Lord lives, thou art right and approved in my eyes. And so is thy going out and thy coming in with me in the army. And I have not found any evil to charge against thee from the day that thou camest to me until this day. But thou art not approved in the eyes of the lords. Now then, return and go in peace. Thus thou shalt not do evil in the sight of the lords of the Philistines. And David said to Anchus, What have I done to thee? And what hast thou found in thy servant from the first day that I was before thee, even until this day, that I should not come and war against the enemies of the Lord my king? And Anchus answered David, I know that thou art good in my eyes, but the Lord of the Philistines say, He shall not come with us to the war. Now then, rise up early in the morning, thou and the servants of thy Lord, that are come with thee, and go to the place where I appointed you, and entertain no evil thought in thy heart, for thou art good in my sight. And rise early for your journey, when it is light, and depart. So David arose early, he and his men, to depart and guard the land of the Philistines. And the Philistines went up to Jezreel to battle. And it came to pass, when David and his men had entered Sekelac on the third day, that Amalek had made an incursion upon the south, and upon Sekelac, and smitten Sekelac, and burnt it with fire. And as to the women and all things that were in it, great and small, they slew neither man nor woman, but carried them captives, and went on their way. And David and his men came into the city, and behold, it was burnt with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were carried captive. And David and his men lifted their voice and wept till there was no longer any power within them to weep. And both the wives of David were carried captive, Echanaim the Jezreelitess, and Abigail the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And David was greatly distressed, because the people spoke of stoning him, because the soul of all the people was grieved, each for his sons and his daughters. But David strengthened himself in the Lord his God. And David said to Abiathar the priest, the son of Achimelech, Bring near the ephod. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I pursue after this troop? Shall I overtake them? And he said to him, Pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and thou shalt surely rescue the captives. So David went, he and the 600 men with him, and they come as far as the brook Bosor, and the superfluous ones stopped. And he pursued them with 400 men, and there remained behind 200 men, who tarried on the other side of the brook Bosor. And they find an Egyptian to the field, and they take him, and bring him to David. And they gave him bread, and he ate, and they caused him to drink water. And they gave him a piece of a cake of figs, and he ate, and his spirit was restored in him, for he had not eaten bread, and had not drunk water 3 days and 3 nights. And David said to him, Whose art thou, and whence art thou? And the young man the Egyptian said, I am the servant of an Amalekite, and my master left me, because I was taken ill 3 days ago. And we made an incursion on the south of the Kelethite, and on the parts of Judea, and on the south of Caleb, and we burnt Sekelac with fire. And David said to him, Wilt thou bring me down to this troop? And he said, Swear now to me by God, that thou wilt not kill me, and that thou wilt not deliver me into the hands of my master, and I will bring thee down upon this troop. So he brought him down thither, and behold, they were scattered abroad upon the surface of the whole land, eating and drinking and feasting by reason of all the great spoils which they had taken out of the land of the Philistines, and out of the land of Judah. And David came upon them, and smote them from the morning till the evening, and on the next day, and not one of them escaped, except 400 young men who were mounted on camels, and fled. And David recovered all that the Amalekites had taken, and he rescued both his wives, and nothing was wanting to them of great or small, either of the spoils, or the sons and daughters, or anything that they had taken of theirs. And David recovered all. And he took all the flocks and the herds, and led them away before the spoils. And it was said of these spoils, These are the spoils of David. And David comes to the 200 men who were left behind, that they should not follow after David. And he had caused them to remain by the brook of Bosor. And they came forth to meet David, and to meet his people with him. And David drew near to the people, and they asked him how he did. Then every ill-disposed and bad man of the soldiers who had gone with David answered and said, Because they did not pursue together with us, we will not give them of the spoils which we have recovered. Only let each one lead away with him his wife and his children, and let them return. And David said, Ye shall not do so after the Lord has delivered the enemy to us, and guarded us, and the Lord has delivered into our hands the troop that came against us. And who will hearken to these your words? For they are not inferior to us. And according to the portion of him that went down to the battle, so shall be the portion of him that abides with the baggage. They shall share alike. And it came to pass from that day forward that it became an ordinance and a custom in Israel until this day. And David came to Ziklag, and sent the spoils to the elders of Judah, and to his friends, saying, Behold, some of the spoils of the enemies of the Lord, to those in Bethsur, and to those in Ramah of the south, and to those in Gethor, and to those in Aroer, and to those in Amadi, and to those in Saphi, and to those in Esthi, and to those in Geth, and to those in Simath, and to those in Saphek, and to those in Themath, and to those in Carmel, and to those in the cities of Jermeel, and to those in the cities of the Kenizzite, and to those of Jeremoth, and to those in Beerseba, and to those in Nombi, and to those in Kebron, and to all the places which David and his men had passed through. And the Philistines fought with Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines, and they fall down wounded in the mountain of Gilboa. And the Philistines pressed closely on Saul and his sons, and the Philistines smite Jonathan, and Aminadab, and Melchishah son of Saul. And the battle prevails against Saul, and the shooters with arrows, even the archers find him, and he was wounded under the ribs. And Saul said to his armor-bearer, Draw thy sword, and pierce me through with it, lest these uncircumcised come and pierce me through, and mock me. But his armor-bearer would not, for he feared greatly. So Saul took his sword and fell upon it. And his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, and he fell also himself upon his sword, and died with him. So Saul died, and his 3 sons and his armor-bearer in that day together. And the men of Israel, who were on the other side of the valley, and those beyond Jordan, saw that the men of Israel fled, and that Saul and his sons were dead, and they leave their cities and flee. And the Philistines come and dwell in them. And it came to pass on the morrow that the Philistines come to strip the dead, and they find Saul and his 3 sons fallen on the mountains of Gilboa. And they turned him, and stripped off his armor, and sent it into the land of the Philistines, sending round glad tidings to their idols and to the people. And they set up his armor at the temple of Astarte, and they fastened his body on the wall of Besam. And the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead hear what the Philistines did to Saul, and they rose up, even every man of might, and marched all night, and took the body of Saul and the body of Jonathan his son from the wall of Besam, and they bring them to Jabesh, and burn them there. And they take their bones, and bury them in the field that is in Jabesh, and fast 7 days. Psalm 88, 89 in Hebrew, verses 1 through 18. A psalm of instruction for Ethan the Israelite. I will sing of thy mercies, O Lord, forever. I will declare thy truth with my mouth to all generations. For thou hast said, Mercy shall be built up forever. Thy truth shall be established in the heavens. I made a covenant with my chosen ones. I swear unto David my servant. I will establish thy seed forever, and build up thy throne to all generations. Pause. The heaven shall declare thy wonders, O Lord, and thy truth in the assembly of the saints. For who in the heavens shall be compared to the Lord? And who shall be likened to the Lord among the sons of God? God is glorified in the council of the saints, great and terrible toward all that are round about him. O Lord God of hosts, who is like to thee? Thou art mighty, O Lord, and thy truth is round about thee. Thou rulest the power of the sea, and thou calmest the tumult of its waves. Thou hast brought down the proud as one that is slain, and with the arm of thy power hast thou scattered thine enemies. The heavens are thine, and the earth is thine. Thou hast founded the world, and the fullness of it. Thou hast created the north and the west. Tabor and Hermon shall rejoice in thy name. Thine is the mighty arm. Let thy hand be strengthened. Let thy right hand be exalted. Justice and judgment are the establishment of thy throne. Mercy and truth shall go before thy face. Blessed is the people that knows the joyful sound. They shall walk, O Lord, in the light of thy countenance. And in thy name shall they rejoice all day. And in thy righteousness shall they be exalted. For thou art the boast of their strength, and in thy good pleasure shall our horn be exalted. For our help is of the Lord, and of the Holy One of Israel, our King. Proverbs chapter 18, verses 18 through 22. A silent man quells strifes, and determines between great powers. A brother helped by a brother is as a strong and high city, and is as strong as a well-founded palace. A man fills his belly with the fruits of his mouth, and he shall be satisfied with the fruits of his lips. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and they that rule it shall eat the fruits thereof. He that has found a good wife has found favors, and has received gladness from God. He that puts away a good wife puts away a good thing, and he that keeps an adulteress is foolish and ungodly. The Holy Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 12, verses 35 through 59. Let your loins be girded about, and your lights burning, and ye yourselves like unto men that wait for their Lord, when he will return from the wedding, that when he cometh and knocketh, they may open unto him immediately. Blessed are those servants, whom the Lord, when he cometh, shall find watching. Verily, I say unto you, that he shall gird himself, and make them to sit down to meat, and will come forth and serve them. And if he shall come in the second watch, or come in the third watch, and find them so, blessed are those servants. And this know, that if the goodman of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched, and not have suffered his house to be broken through. Be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not. Then Peter said unto him, Lord, speakest thou this parable unto us, or even to all? And the Lord said, Who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his Lord shall make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of meat in due season? Blessed is that servant, whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Of a truth I say unto you, that he will make him ruler over all that he hath. But and if that servant say in his heart, My Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to beat the men servants and maidens, and to eat and drink, and to be drunken, the Lord of that servant will come in a day when he looketh not for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him in sunder, and will appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. And that servant which knew his Lord's will, and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. But he that knew not, and did commit things worthy of stripes, shall be beaten with few stripes. For unto whomsoever much is given, of him shall be much required, and to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I, if it be already kindled? But I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how am I straitened till it be accomplished? Suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth? I tell you, nay, but rather division. For from henceforth there shall be 5 in one house divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And he said also to the people, When ye see a cloud rise out of the west, straightway ye say, There cometh a shower, and so it is. And when ye see the south wind blow, ye say, There will be heat, and it cometh to pass. Ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky and of the earth, but how is it that ye do not discern this time? Yea, and why even of yourselves judge ye not what is right? When thou goest with thine adversary to the magistrate, as thou art in the way, give diligence that thou mayest be delivered from him, lest he hale thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and the officer cast thee into prison. I tell thee, thou shalt not depart thence, till thou hast paid the very last mite.